Are you tired of feeling like you have to explain yourself? To justify your choices, your beliefs, your very existence to a world that never stops talking. We live in an age of constant noise, a carnival of hot takes and reactive opinions. But what if this compulsive need to speak is the very thing that's draining your strength? Today, we are not adding to the noise. Today, we solve the problem of a weak, scattered spirit by exploring the most misunderstood source of power. The art of silence. In the marketplace of ideas, everyone is a salesman. They shout their virtues, their grievances, their deepest fears, bartering for attention, for validation, for a moment of relevance. Their value is determined by the echo they create. But walk away from the marketplace. Climb the mountain. Go into the depths of your own soul. Here, a different law prevails. Here, strength is not measured by the volume of one's voice, but by the depth of one's silence. This is not the silence of the sheep, of the meek who have nothing to say. No, this is the silence of the predator, the silence of the creator. It is a chosen stillness, a loaded and dangerous quiet. The common and catastrophic error of the modern spirit is to conflate activity with potency, to mistake the frantic expenditure of energy for the accumulation of strength. We are taught to be arrows, perpetually launched, whistling through the air towards targets not of our own making. Our value, we are told, is in our velocity and our visibility. But this is the philosophy of the ephemeral, the creed of the insect whose entire life is a buzz that ends with the first frost. True strength, the kind that moves mountains and forges new moralities, obeys a different law entirely. It is not born in the explosion, but in the immense, gathering pressure that precedes it. It is cultivated not in the field of reaction, but in the voluntary, disciplined, and often terrifying art of silence. This silence is the true crucible of power, the internal forge where the base, or of impulse, is smelted into the steel of a sovereign will. Consider the nature of power itself. Is it not the capacity to affect one's will upon the world, to shape reality according to an internal vision? If so, then power must first be a substance that is accumulated, concentrated, and husbanded with a miser's care. The one who speaks constantly, who reacts to every provocation, who must immediately voice every passing sentiment or grievance, is like a man who lights a match to see if his lantern has oil. He expends his precious fuel for a moment of trivial illumination, leaving himself in the dark when the true journey begins. His power is scattered on the winds of opinion, diluted in the waters of validation, and bartered away for the cheap coin of social approval. He is a leaky vessel, and no matter how much life pours into him, he remains empty, forever seeking an external source to fill a void of his own creation. His noise is the sound of his own poverty, the desperate advertisement of a soul that has nothing of its own to sustain it. Now, step into the silence of the strong. This silence is not a vacuum, not an emptiness. It is a roaring, teeming plenitude. It is the active, willed state of holding back. It is the predator's crouch, the artist's contemplation before the first stroke, the general's quiet study of the map before the battle. In this state, all energy is turned inward. Every insult that is swallowed, every brilliant thought that is not immediately tweeted, every passion that is not instantly acted upon, becomes fuel for this internal fire. The pressure builds. What was once a fleeting anger is compressed into a cold, enduring resolve. What was a moment of inspiration is allowed to mature into a world-altering philosophy. What was a raw, undirected passion is tempered into a love that is deep and formidable, not shallow and effusive. This process is not peaceful. It is a violent and creative turmoil contained within the unbreakable vessel of the self. It is a war fought in the quiet of one's own soul, where the chaotic impulses are forged into a disciplined army under the command of a single, unyielding will. This art of silence is, therefore, the highest expression of self-mastery. To speak is easy. It is a release, a capitulation to the pressure of the moment. To remain silent, by choice, is an act of domination over one's own baser instincts. It is to say to the world and to the clamoring mob within, "You will not dictate my rhythm. You will not force my hand. My power is mine to dispense, and I choose to hold it." This selective deployment is the mark of the sovereign individual. He observes the carnival of human folly from a distance, not with scorn, but with the discerning eye of one who knows the price of a ticket is one's own soul. He understands that to engage in every petty debate is to descend into the mud and fight on a pig's terms. His silence is a trench, a defensive perimeter that the arrows of gossip and the cannons of outrage cannot breach. It preserves his energy, allowing him to focus his formidable resources on what truly matters: his own creation, his own journey, his own ascent. Let us be clear, this is not the silence of cowardice. The coward is silent because he fears the consequences of his speech. His silence is a void, a negation, a cowering in the shadows. The strong individual is silent because he disdains the triviality of the exchange. His silence is an affirmation, a positive force, a mountain that finds the chatter of the valley beneath its notice. His refusal to speak is itself a powerful statement. It declares that the arena is unworthy, the opponents are unqualified, and the prize is meaningless. It is a judgment passed not in words, but in action, or rather, in the supreme action of chosen inaction. This creates an aura of unassailable authority. The one who speaks little makes his words heavy. When he finally chooses to break his silence, the world is compelled to listen, for it knows that what comes forth has been distilled through layers of discipline, and is backed by the full, concentrated force of a reserved power. His utterances are not mere sounds but events. In this crucible, the very nature of one's being is transformed. The reactive soul, the human weather vane, is shaped by every external wind. He is a composite of other people's opinions, a puppet of social trends, but the soul that has mastered the art of silence turns inward and becomes its own cause. It ceases to be an effect and becomes a first cause. It generates its own heat, its own light, its own gravity. It no longer seeks a sun to orbit. It becomes a sun around which lesser planets revolve. This is the ultimate power, to be the source of your own values, the justifier of your own existence. And this state is inaccessible to the noisy, the reactive, the perpetually externalized. It is born only in the deep, resonant, and creative silence where the individual, having held back everything, finally becomes everything. The crucible's fire does not destroy the metal, it purifies it, separates it from the dross, and makes it hard, sharp, and glorious. So it is with the spirit forged in the voluntary, willed, and terrible art of silence. To understand the order of the world, one must first understand the order of souls, for the external chaos is merely a phantom, image of an internal disarray. There exists a natural hierarchy, not of birth or wealth, but of spiritual constitution, a gradient that runs from the reactive to the active, from the dependent to the self-sufficient. This hierarchy is most clearly revealed not in what a man possesses, but in what he feels he must proclaim. The fundamental division, the great chasm that separates the sovereign from the slave, the creator from the consumer, is found in their relationship to speech and silence. The common spirit, the herd animal in man, is haunted by a profound inner emptiness, a void where a self should be. This emptiness creates a suction, a desperate need for external validation that manifests as an incessant, compulsive need to speak, to explain, to justify, and to be heard. His words are not born from an overflow of inner certainty, but from a bottomless hunger. He is a beggar of attention, holding out his cup of identity, pleading for the world to fill it with the small change of recognition and agreement. He must narrate his every pain, turning his suffering into a public performance to elicit pity, for in the sympathy of others he finds a temporary, fleeting confirmation that he exists. He must loudly declare his virtues, for he does not truly believe in them until they are echoed back to him by the chorus of the crowd. His opinions are fragile things, requiring constant reinforcement from his ideological tribe, and he attacks those who disagree, not from strength of conviction, but from the terror of having his own fragile house of cards collapse. This is the psychology of the slave, the one who is not master of his own worth, who locates the source of his value outside himself, in the fickle eyes of others. His noise is the chains he mistakes for ornaments, the sound of his own spiritual bondage. In stark opposition stands the sovereign individual, the one who has become a self-legislating entity. His defining characteristic is a self-containment so complete that it renders the constant search for external confirmation not merely unnecessary, but contemptible. He has journeyed into the abyss of his own being and has returned, having faced the chaos and the darkness within, and having forged a meaning from it. He does not need to scream into the abyss, for he has learned its language. He listens to its whispers and understands its terrors, and in that understanding, he finds a power that requires no audience. His silence is the physical manifestation of this inner fullness. It is not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of a deep, still lake whose bottom cannot be seen. It is a positive force, an affirmation of a self so rich and potent that it can afford to be quiet. He needs no tribe to affirm his truths, for his truths are not adopted doctrines, but living realities he has tested in the fires of his own experience. He does not perform his suffering, for he knows that true depth is cultivated in private, and that to parade one's wounds is to make them vulgar. His value is not a question put to the marketplace. It is a decree issued from the throne of his own will. This silence is, therefore, the ultimate expression of power in the spiritual hierarchy. It is the unassailable fortress of a spirit that has become a cause unto itself. This dynamic creates a fundamental inversion of logic between the higher and the lower man. The slave believes that to be powerful is to be loud, to be seen, to be influential in the eyes of the many. He mistakes the appearance of power for its substance. The sovereign knows that true power is the capacity for self-mastery and the ability to act from a deep, reserved well of strength. His silence is the instrument of his discrimination. It allows him to observe, to discern, and to judge without becoming entangled in the petty dramas that consume the reactive spirit. While the herd is in a perpetual state of agitation, whipped into frenzies by every new scandal, and outraged by every perceived slight, the higher man remains on the mountain, observing the weather patterns in the valley below. He is not indifferent, he is selective. He reserves his energy, his speech, and his action for that which is worthy of his essence. He understands that to engage with every foolish argument is to descend to the level of the fool. His refusal to participate is not a lack of understanding, but a surplus of it. He understands the game is rigged and the prize is worthless. His silence is a form of contempt, not for people, but for the low-stakes theater of reactive noise that passes for important discourse. This hierarchy is further cemented by the relationship to creation. The reactive spirit consumes and comments. It is a critic by nature. It defines itself by what it is against, by what it tears down. Its speech is often negative. Complaint, critique, deconstruction. It creates nothing but more noise. The sovereign spirit, fortified by his silence, is a creator. His inner world, unviolated by the constant intrusion of external opinions, becomes a fertile ground for new values, new art, new forms of life. His creativity is not a reaction to the world, but an overflow of his own internal abundance. He does not create to be praised. He creates because he must, because the pressure of his inner world demands it. His works are born from silence and speak with a voice that carries further than any shout, for they are forged in authenticity. The loudest voices in the room may dictate the conversation of the day, but it is the quiet, relentless creators who, through their books, their philosophies, their art, and their lived example, dictate the course of centuries. They need not fight for a place at the table. They build new tables. They do not seek to win arguments within the old paradigm. They invent new paradigms that make the old arguments irrelevant. Their silence is the incubator for the future, the quiet in which new worlds are conceived. Thus, the hierarchy of the spirit is not a static classification, but a dynamic process of becoming. One ascends not by clamoring for a higher rung on the existing ladder, but by turning inward, confronting the abyss, and learning the profound, world-altering discipline of holding one's tongue, thereby accumulating the spiritual gravity that eventually pulls all of life into a new orbit around the sun of a self, created self. In the carnival of noise, we barter our strength for the cheap coin of attention. But true power lies in the disciplined silence of the predator, not the reactive chatter of prey. By turning inward, we cease begging for validation and begin building an unassailable self. Silence is the forge where raw impulse is tempered into unyielding will. Let the weak clamor. Your strength grows in the quiet, reserved for the moment your action will thunder with a meaning beyond all words. The mountain does not scream, yet it shapes the horizon.